Krystal being very gracious and allowing me to give everyone an update on the UFO phenomenon. So we updated everybody about the hearing, about what happened. Dave Grush came forward and made some extraordinary allegations. Krystal, one of the things that you asked me was, what do you think of all this? Like, what are we to make of all this?
Yeah.
And what I said is, it's important to get this on the record and to create a binary. I think creating the binary is the most important thing. Is it true or is it not true? He's entered this under oath in the congressional record. We also have a previous director of the program, the ARROW program, coming forward and saying there's no evidence of extraterrestrials, there's no evidence of any of these hidden craft retrievable sites, any of the stuff that Dave Grush has alleged before. Just to give people a flashback to that, that was Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, who is directly at odds now with Grush's testimony. Here's what he said a couple of months before to Congress.
I should also state clearly for the record that in our research, ARROW has found no credible evidence thus far of extraterrestrial activity, off-world technology, or objects that defy the known laws of physics. In the event sufficient scientific data were ever obtained that a UAP encountered can only be explained by extraterrestrial origin, we are committed to working with our interagency partners at NASA to appropriately inform U.S. government's leadership of its findings.
So, Krystal, after Dave Grush gave testimony at that hearing, which directly contradicted what he said, and which he said that Grush also said that he had brought forward these allegations to Kirkpatrick, a very odd letter began to circulate. It appears that Kirkpatrick circumvented the Pentagon's like official framework for releasing statements, and released a statement of his own accord on his LinkedIn page.
Weird.
Yeah, very odd. This does not happen in the government and does not happen in the Department of Defense, of which I used to cover. I've never seen anything like this in my entire career. So here's the letter that he put out. Again, he is saying, quote, they'd be either his personal observations and opinions and do not represent the DOD or the IC positions, IC being the intelligence community. Long letter here, effectively saying that he's very proud of his team. And he says, quote, I cannot let yesterday's hearing pass without sharing how insulting it was to the officers of the Department of Defense and Intelligence Committee who chose to join ARROW. Many not unreasonable anxieties about the career risk that this would entail. So he specifically, in this letter, calls Grush a liar. He says, contrary to assertions made in the hearing, the central source of those allegations has refused to speak with ARROW. Furthermore, some information reportedly provided to Congress has not been provided to ARROW, raising additional questions about the true commitment to transparency by some congressional elements. So I'm going to zero in on that and kind of let all of the other stuff go, because the important thing that has come out from here is he is claiming very matter-of-factly, not necessarily under oath, remember that, and also not through the official meeting, so through the official process, so I don't really know what to make of it, but he effectively is saying Dave Grush is lying, because Grush said at the hearing that he had provided materials, evidence, and all of that to the program, to the ARROW program that was reviewing the past record of UFO knowledge, files, and all that stuff, and that the reason he became a whistleblower is because it was not taken seriously and that it was buried. So we're basically we're in now an almost total like yes or no question, like one of these people is lying and lied to Congress.
What did you make of this part at the very end? He says in this statement on his LinkedIn, also to be clear, none of the whistleblowers from yesterday's hearing ever worked for ARROW or was ever a representative to ARROW, contrary to statements made in testimony and in the media. So he's also, am I right, asserting that Grush is even lying about what positions he held?
From what I read, there are some technicalities in terms of the way that Grush described his attachment to the program, not necessarily
so he didn't like directly
the program.
Work for him, so they're using some sort of legalistic language here?
There's two ways to read it. And again, this is not a vetted statement by the Pentagon. It's not, it's not officially, this is just him, something that he put out on his LinkedIn page. But he's basically saying, I don't know this guy. He never brought any of this stuff forward. He's a liar. He never made any of it clear. He didn't even work for me. I mean, each one of those is extraordinary in itself. I mean, he's effectively, the only place where he's not given himself out is saying that he was never shared those materials. Because now it's straight up, like, did Grush lie or not? And listen, we really have no way of knowing. This is why it's so difficult, actually, to look at these two things, because remember that the Grush report, I mean, it's not like he just came forward to the New York Times. He went through the internal whistleblower process in the Department of Defense, which the Inspector General of the intelligence community said that they found credible and urgent and bearing investigation. So it was vetted at the very least in some way, at least from what we're seeing. Much of what he said, even at the hearing, was said in an unclassified setting of which not has been cleared by the department, but of which has not been restricted from saying out in the open. He says that he provided, all of these materials to Congress for investigation into the specific allegations about these programs and all of those. So, I mean, I'm like, even though I thought that this was an incredibly bizarre event, I'm happy that it happened because, and it probably sucks for Grush and many of these other people to be called a liar, is because now we actually really have to find out because, Kirkpatrick had given himself some outs in the past. He said, oh, we don't have any evidence. There's a lot of different ways that you could spin that, whether he lied to Congress or not. But this one is such a direct and a personal statement saying he's a liar. And let's put this Daily Mail piece up on the screen because this included also quotes from very confused members of Congress who actually saw it. So, for example, Anna Paulina Luna, who is one of the congresswomen who has been really at the side of Tim Burchett on all of this. Here's what she said. She said, it's crazy to me that they would try to discredit them. The fact that Kirkpatrick just tried to discredit also the other two witnesses that were legitimate pilots for the military that had the gimbal and the Tic Tac videos were confirmed by DOD is the exact reason why I think people don't trust Arrow. The evidence was brought forward by multiple veterans who had confirmed the video footage of the Tic Tac and the gimbal of advanced technologies that does exist. The DOD even admitted it, like, what are you talking about? That actually, highlights what you said, the very odd part at the end whenever he's like, well, none of these three witnesses worked for us. And it's like, well, let's put Grush aside. The other two never claimed to ever work for the program. They were just like, yeah, I flew planes and I had a UFO encounter.
Yeah, so this was very much aimed at Grush.
This was absolutely aimed at Grush.
Yeah.
Which was why I thought it was bizarre that he also tried to kind of take umbrage at Fravor and at Graves' testimony, who, I mean, they didn't even really say anything about Arrow. Anyway, the reason why I wanted to highlight it is just that clearly we are in a situation now where one of these individuals is telling the truth.
Yeah.
And it's actually, frankly, should be easier now at this point to figure it out. And I implore these people, these members of Congress, like, please find out and update us in a very, speedy manner, because enough, public interest has been given now to the non-human biologics, to the, all of the just incredible allegations made by Grush. But we have enough now to where he, at the very least, like he said it under oath, that he's provided materials to them. And we've also got some documents that were provided by George Knapp, which makes some really crazy allegations that were entered into the congressional record. It's like, look, investigate it and just tell if it's true or not true.
I mean, it's going to be very difficult to get any kind of answers about some of the extraordinary claims that were made in testimony, but some of the stuff that is laid out in this personal statement seems more provable.
Exactly.
Like, did he actually provide the material that he said he did or not? Like, that seems like something we could potentially get to the bottom of. What is the reality of who he worked for and whether he technically worked for Arrow or not? And while those things don't provide us conclusive evidence of, what's going on with these craft, they do provide you with a little bit of information about the credibility of these various individuals.
No, I think that's incredibly well said. This gives us actually quite a lot more to work with. And bizarrely enough, I found it ignored by the media just because as a headline itself, it's like UFO whistleblower called liar by head of the Pentagon program. I mean, that's extraordinary to me. And then not done through the official DOD process. So that's the breakdown from the best of what I've been able to gather on it. Covering this topic, things always just seem nothing, I guess, is ever done in the ordinary fashion.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.